becomes employed by a cold-blooded mobster and put under strong control, is a solid, intense movie. Playing a thief in a movie is not an easy role, and Khan does it with knowledgeable skill and discipline and style. Notable for 80s fans is a score by the techno group Tangerine Dream. My second pick is the 1986 Oliver Stone movie Salvador, which starred James Caan in an Oscar-nominated role as a sly, swarmy photojournalist who travels to war-stricken El Salvador in 1980 during a major American military rule. Now, Stone captures the violence and chaos of this time period vividly, and the film is an important reminder of a part in war history that is hugely ignored. In 1987, Mickey Rourke's popularity as an actor was at a prime point with the film Barfly, also starring Faye Dunaway. Barfly is a story of a drunken writer's sordid days, aimlessly boozing up in jotting down prose, which gains interest of a literary agent. An odd choice for you. 1988's Tapehead, starring young leads John Cusack and Tim Robbins as disenchanted young guys who want to start a company that produces music videos. Tapehead isn't a great movie, but as long as we're talking about the 80s and its music and culture, you can't go wrong with this movie. There's also plenty of musical dance sequences, including one with a claymation fried chicken. Now, my next movie playing here on the TV is Escape from New York from 1981, directed by John Carpenter and starring Kurt Russell, who was trying to break out of his 1970s Disney clean-cut movie image into a badass action anti-hero named Snake Plissken. Now, personally, I prefer the 1996 sequel Escape from LA, which features Peter Fonda as a futuristic surfer and Pam Grier as a transsexual named Carjack. But for the sake of this show, 80s buffs will enjoy Escape from New York. I'm Andrew Lapointe. This is 80s Cinema Picks, and now we go to Steve Winfro and Conrad Lamore.
All right, so we're going to be talking politics today. From the right, I'm Conrad Lamore.
And from the left, as always, I'm Steve Winfro.
All right, and today our first topic is the repatriation of the Constitution. Now, our friend here has a ridiculous point on that. How about you tell us what your point is?
You know what? It's about time the Constitution came home, Conrad. It's about time that we in Canada have a Constitution to call our own.
What has it caused? What bad things has it done?
I think now finally Canadians can say that we have a Constitution. We know what our rights are as Canadians. We are no longer British subjects, and that is something. We are no longer subject to the motherland. We're no longer subject to the rules.
See, that's the thing with you lefties, man. When everything's going fine, you guys still have to go and break something. As things were right now,
I think
the laws were being
the Canadian Constitution has brought this country together.
They're the ones that gave us our rights to be called Canadians.
The Canadian Constitution has now brought the Canadian public together.
Next topic, the separatist movement. Now, again, you're always here defending the Frenchies when they have caused nothing but trouble since they get
So what, you want to kick them out?
Abraham
Come on.
Caused trouble. 1980s, Lévesque caused trouble. I think it was perfect that he didn't want to sign, so we stabbed him in the back.
Oh,
that's
come
the
on.
Way it should
come
be
on.
done.
I think that
that's the way it should
the
be
French
done.
have a right to their own choices. They have a right to do anything. For what do we mean? For what? For what? So that they can live their own lives as French Canadians. All right? They are French Canadians, and we have to let them act and be French Canadians.
They have to know that they have to be accustomed to what's going on in this country.
All right, how about this?
And if they want to leave, so they can
So
go.
let's talk about a great French Canadian, our Prime Minister, Brian Mulroney, landslide victory.
See, now there's a man.
There's a man. There's nothing. Come on, French Canadian.
It's Brian.
No, it's not Brian. You can't say that.
Foremost, cut spending.
Cut spending. He's given so much power. He's given so much money to and power to the province.
Oh,
come on.
Before him,
I would love Trudeau. Look at Trudeau united a country. Trudeau united a country. He united the country. So what do you mean to what expense? What has Mulroney done? Mulroney has sent all of the money and power to the provinces. You can't tell me all the money and power. All right, here, fine. Final thing, Cold War. The Cold War. All right?
Reagan, the man of the hour.
Oh, you can't say Reagan's the man of the hour.
You have to be aggressive against those damn commies.
He has to put more.
All of you commies, you're all about the same thing. You're all about the same thing.
He has to put more pressure onto the Soviet Union so that it will fall.
It's all about
so that they will have more freedom.
Open competition.
Less military, more diplomacy. That's what I say about Reagan. From the left, I'm Steve Winfro.
And from the right, I'm Conrad Lamore. And from the center, of course, it's the cat. And well, we all know that the center is better to the left.
So here we are again. I'm the producer of this show, Back to the 80s, Matthew Pacey, and we're here with our resident 80s expert, the man who was there, Jeff Clobridge.
I was there, man. I was there.
And we're here to talk to Jeff about miscellaneous pop cultural items from the 1980s. Jeff, I'm just wondering, If we were back in the 80s right now, what would you be watching on television?
Jeopardy, Punky Brewster, The Facts of Life, The Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend.
What do you think was the hottest Golden Girl?
I would say maybe Estelle Getty. She was the second youngest on the show.
That's kind of out there. I mean, everyone says B. Arthur. Come on.
Yeah, but B. Arthur, she's just too mannish. Okay. She's like, what are you doing? I'm B. Arthur. Come and have sex with me.
Jeff?
Yes, Matthew.
Well, there's been lots of great music, you know, back in that period. It was like a Renaissance time. It was a Renaissance time. If you were back in the 80s, what would you be listening to right now?
Well, in early 1985, I would have been listening to Wham. I was a huge Wham fan.
Jeff?
I happen to be the biggest Wham fan of all time. I had the shirt that said "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." In 1985, something happened. Wham broke up. But no one told me. I had to find out when they came out with Careless Whispers, which was the follow-up to Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, their smash hit. And it was credited to George Michael. And I'm like, what? And I asked my parents, is Wham breaking up? And they said, who's Wham? Well, I'm sort of stuck in 1985 as far as musically goes.
All right. Well, another band, great band, they had one big hit video. It was Aha. Did that one video, it was all done in animation. You know?
And the piano went something like this. Take on me, take on me, take me on, take on me, I will
I hear they did every single frame of that by hand.
Depends what you mean by hand, but I think you're right.
Damn straight. Wow, each individually, Jeff. But
Well, that's what cartooning is. Like, they didn't have computers back then that you could just type in the video and say.
They didn't reuse backgrounds.
You could, but you couldn't just
Not
like
a
put the
single
video.
line
You
was
couldn't just
saved.
put the video. Can I speak, please? You couldn't put the video into a computer like you do nowadays, you punks, and push a button that
Jeff,
says
I'm afraid
digitized
we'll have
cartoon style, and then booyaka.
I'm afraid we'll have
It
to
was
be
a
wrapping this
painstaking
thing up.
process,
This
and
is-
you will not cut me
This
off.
is
I want
a-
to talk about.
Well, thank you, Jeff, for being on our show, and we'll be glad to have you back on our show next week. Thank you very much, Jeff Clobridge.
Thank you, Matthew Arnold Pacey.
Thank you, Jeff. We're nearly at the end of our competition, and our contestants are still giving it their all. So here we have Bobby clearly dominating. Jason played once and has not touched the controller ever since. Bobby is already on level 7. I believe this one is a clear-cut winner today. Bobby is simply marvelous. Like Bobby notified me earlier, he was born a tetrad. Look at that beautiful Tetris playing. Okay, Bobby, you seem to be very experienced at this game. How long have you been playing Tetris?
I'm going on 25 years actually right now.
Oh, fantastic.
I died in a past life, but I died as a child and then came back again. So,
Really?
yeah.
Really? That's great. And Jason, how were you first shown how to play Tetris? Because your skills seem subpar compared to Bobby's.
You could almost say that they stink, seeing as how I learned to play on a Game Boy in the can.
Oh.
So that might explain my lack of skill.
And stink. But yes, I'm going to have to declare a winner here today, folks. I'm going to have to say Bobby Will. And the winner of today's competition game action, like I told you, folks, is Bobby Will. Bobby, the master Tetris man. Okay, and yes, Bobby, thank you. Thanks for joining
very
us.
much,
Thank
Ivan.
you. Jason, keep up the Tetris playing. You know,
I'll have to practice.
big future in that. And that's all for today's game action, folks. I want to thank you, and you all come back, you hear?
Bye.